Hey everybody, this is Jeff Stansfield. We're here at the LA Games Conference, and I'm here with David Bloom. David Bloom is a longtime friend, and he's at all these conferences, at DWE, he's at all the conferences out here. David, you had a panel just got out, right?
Right. Yeah, we just finished a panel on Hollywood and games and talking about the ways that games are going to Hollywood, and Hollywood is bringing its franchises to games. One of the challenges is it may not be as good a deal.
That's okay.
It may not be that we have as many aware people as we'd like to think we have in Hollywood, for instance. I guess not. But that being said, one of the interesting things that came out of it was the way that people on the panel were saying, we have to be careful about what we do with a brand now. If we create a game that's really hot and Hollywood says, hey, we'd like to make a movie out of it, it may not be the best thing for us to do. And it used to be 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you'd go for that money because that was a great opportunity. But now it's like, the game experience is so engaging and so connecting that maybe you don't want to screw it up with a bad movie or the possibility of a bad movie. So I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and then also how Hollywood is taking a lot of the money out of the gaming. So you have all that IP, and then you're giving it up to Hollywood, right?
Right. Well, that's always been a challenge with the licensing component of it. If you license it, you on the one hand don't have to market in quite the same way. You break through some of the background noise, but you give up a big chunk of money on the front end, and you've got to deal with all these limitations on the creative process because they're very careful about how they take care of their individual intellectual property.
So, being a columnist, tell me more about what you do as a columnist. How do you syndicate it? Where are you out of? What platform?
I write for several different outlets. The big three that I write for are Forbes, Tube Filter, where I write a weekly column, and a site called TV Rev, which is really about television and what's sort of postmodern television, the online streaming and all that, and the advertising around that and how that business is being affected in ad tech. And so I cast a wide net. I write for those guys. I do a lot of ghostwriting. I have a podcast called Bloom in Tech. And in Bloom in Tech, I try to look at this collision of technology and entertainment. And it's just a really interesting time to be looking at, thinking about, talking about all those issues.
So what is the future of esports? Where's the biggest advancements going to be, and where are the biggest challenges, you think?
Well, I think that esports is going to cross $1 billion this year in annual revenues. I like to call it a 15-year overnight sensation. It's taken a while to unfold, but it seems like it's taking off now. I'll tell you one of the things that I think that really is fueling it is that it is now on mobile, which is gigantic in general, that it is an experience that you can watch in lots of places. So somebody like League of Legends, owned by Riot Games, has 70 million players, but they have, in their championship, they might have 40 million people watch, as they did last year in their championship. 40 million people watch online. That's a gigantic audience. That's 5 times the size of a big broadcast TV audience to watch guys play each other in games. And folks go, well, why would you watch somebody play games? And I always say, well, why would you watch football players play a game, for instance, and you've never played the game? I played football, but I watch video game players too. I mean, it's a competition and it takes skill. It's exciting, and brands are figuring it out, and they're diving in and trying to see where they fit. I think one of the things that's interesting, one of the things that's going to be really transformational, is we're seeing an explosion of new kinds of arenas on college campuses as more sports, as more of them are embracing it. So, University of Washington, Ohio State, a school called Full Sail down in the Orlando area, are all in the last few weeks have opened up arenas and made a big deal out of it. Full Sail's that the only sport they have is esports, and it's actually a key part of that university, that private university's forward strategy for all of its people in the entertainment space, because they put on the TV shows around it and all that stuff. They're doing the motion graphics, and they're producing the show, and they're producing the live events, and they're doing all that stuff to feed into the Orlando, Disney World and Universal Park and all that. So I think getting into colleges, getting into high schools, that's a big opportunity, because now you're getting into a lower group on the front end who are going to be playing and watching for years and years to come. Then on top of that, you have companies like World Gaming League, based over in West LA. They went public a couple months ago, and they make it possible to create a gaming a league really anywhere. You can put it in a restaurant. If you've got a big enough screen for your leaderboard to go up, you've got a big enough internet pipe to take everything through. You can have a team of players in your restaurant play a team of players in Philadelphia or wherever, and they for instance they have an arrangement with Cinemark, the big movie theater chain, to do this in about 25 of Cinemark's theaters. Cinemark's also an investor in them, and so you've got kids coming in on a Saturday morning, which is dead in the movie business, and they play Minecraft. They've got another one that comes in on Tuesday night, also dead in the movie business, and they come in and play, I can't remember the games, a couple other games. They just added another title, and so you'll see opportunities like that for gaming to be, for esports to be accessible in new ways and new places, and for more, it's like all of a sudden it becomes like the gym league, the rec league kind of thing, or the little league kind of opportunity, and that really, to me, busts it forth into another level of cultural engagement and interest.
So, last question I want to ask you. So, the esports pretty much has the 18 to 30-year-old market. But one of the problems is engaging our age market. The 35 to whatever our
in our case.
Yes, 38 in our case. 39. Jack Benny. We're all.
You look good for 39. I'll just say.
Yeah, we're all 39. We're all Jack Benny.
Right.
So how do you think? What do you think the industry can do to engage that market?
Well, I think to be able to do that, you'd need a different kind of game. And when you construct a game for esports, you construct it differently than you would for other kinds of experiences. I think that we already see with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, that audience, those players are much older than others because it's a much older game. So there's that component. But to some extent, maybe you don't worry about engaging older folks who aren't interested. You focus on that hotter young audience. And if you're trying to connect to brands, maybe they're not that interested in 55-year-olds. Well, we'll find other ways to entertain ourselves. But, it just might be that that's not going to be a sweet spot for you unless you come up with a game, and it's probably going to be on mobile, and it's going to be less intense, and it's going to be probably a different kind of game than what we think of in the current esports platforms, the battle arenas and things like that. So I think that there's an opportunity there, but it needs different kinds of games. Those games need to find audiences first before they can have an esports component to them. And even then, I'm not sure it develops, but it could. All this stuff has been very organic and kind of come out of what people are doing and enjoying. So that's kind of where I see things going.
Well, that's very cool. So we're here at the LA Games Conference with David Bloom, columnist and a moderator here at the panels. So if you have any questions, please contact us at 800-287-5095, AdvantageVideoSystems.com. We'll see you guys later at the next conference. Bye-bye.